There are also some outdoor little houses here, outdoor saunas in various designs, and my favorite is these. As for Italian manufacturers, there is a stand for Stella here, and this is not by chance because the latest collection, Ennio. At one of the entrances, Marie Di Rudoli created an installation called Sweet Lobby, and there. Hello, friends. Today we are in Paris at the EquipHotel exhibition, and as the name suggests, it is dedicated to hotel equipment. There are 4 main sections here. One is dedicated to technical equipment and technical solutions, including software. The second main section is wellness. It's clear that in good hotels, there must be a spa. Good hotels also have restaurants and cafes. There is an entire pavilion dedicated to this industry. And of course, good hotels, regardless of their level, cannot do without design. Let's take a stroll and find out what's interesting here and what can be applied in the design not only of hotels but also of regular residential projects, because hotel solutions, as I have stated more than once, are always selected, precise solutions, the experience of which is sometimes worth borrowing when designing flats and houses. Wellness. This is about well-being, and here, in this pavilion, everything is showcased that can, in one way or another, ensure the guest's well-being. It's not just about spas, although, of course, spa equipment is also represented here, and there are hydro massage pools as well, and saunas, and salt rooms, and Turkish baths. The main highlight is the snow rooms. This is really cool from a therapeutic perspective, but it is still quite expensive. There is also equipment for gyms on display, various exercise machines, and weights in absolutely different styles. I still really like the luxury solutions with wood and leather. They look really cool. A spa cannot exist without cosmetic procedures, and there is a huge amount of cosmetics presented here, including equipment for cosmetic treatments. As for cosmetics, by the way, there is both spa cosmetics, which are beauty treatments, and various solutions for regular cleaning products, so to speak. So, this includes shampoo and soap. These are various branded solutions, or they are signature solutions from the best cosmetic houses, the top perfume houses, primarily from France, but not exclusively. There are some niche brands that produce organic cosmetics. This is also an important trend at the moment, and if a hotel aims to create an eco-friendly agenda in its concept, there are also a great many similar solutions available here. In my opinion, good well-being in a hotel primarily comes from sleep. Therefore, there is a huge section dedicated specifically to sleep systems. These include various beds with different mattresses, offering varying levels of comfort in terms of filling and the number of springs, in terms of finishing, and so on and so forth. And linen. Bed linen also plays a significant role in ensuring this comfort and the well-being of guests. And here, just like in cosmetics, there are top brands that produce home textiles. Bed linen in France, not just in France. There are simpler options too. There are towels as well, and they come in all sorts, for the beach and for the bathroom. There are many robes, and there are even slippers, which are biodegradable, meaning they also align with this eco-friendly agenda. Yes, and as for the bed, to a certain extent, the discovery for me is the lifting mechanisms for beds. But this isn't so that guests can somehow float in their sleep. It's for speeding up and easing the cleaning process, as the speed of cleaning is very important for quite large projects, and not just for large ones. What's also interesting is the large number of transformable sleeping spaces on display. Primarily, there are sofa beds, but not just those. Some pull-out beds and the like. While we tend to use these more in domestic settings, here, first and foremost, these solutions are offered for the hospitality industry, which increases the number of sleeping places in rooms. There is quite exotic equipment, apart from standard massage tables, which, by the way, also vary greatly in terms of comfort and luxury, and there is plenty to choose from. There are so-called dry hydro massage beds. We have already encountered this topic at the Wellness Piscina exhibition, which took place in Barcelona. There, by the way, is quite an extensive report on wellness technologies. If you haven't seen it, do take a look. And also, Something that might not be obvious but is quite understandable and logical is the company that produces uniforms for hotel staff, for receptionists, housekeepers, and generally for all the services that exist in a good hotel. In the pavilion, there is a very large exhibition of lighting. Moreover, these are lights that can obviously be used in hotels. They are used in hotels because a wide range of customizable solutions is offered here. There are also many solutions for bedside lighting with personal directed sources with various charging options. This has become quite the norm, and of course, a lot of such solutions are offered here. Otherwise, everything can be used, including in residential interiors, and lighting can now be customized absolutely comfortably for residential spaces as well. What I find very interesting, and which we have all certainly encountered, is the topic of portable lighting, which has only recently emerged. Small lights that you could take with you, but as we see in practice, they have become more prevalent in the hospitality industry, as these little lights are now found in almost any respectable restaurant. And here, I noticed at least 3 companies that specialize solely in these solutions. I find that very interesting. They can also be used at home, but their main business, obviously, is restaurants, including those in hotels. As for the geography of lighting manufacturers, it is also very diverse here. There are certainly French manufacturers. By the way, I don't know how, but French brands are somehow recognized by their aesthetic. They have a certain uniqueness. There are Spaniards, there are Italians, and there are some more exotic ones. The British, of course, are not that exotic. There are indeed several serious British manufacturers of design lighting. I liked one Canadian sample, and a rather interesting, unusual collection from some Brazilian guys. In the area of finishing materials, you could say it's a mini trade fair, because the best, most renowned, and probably most outstanding factories for ceramic tile production are represented here. They showcase their tiles, including new products, in such ambiances for hotels, and they aim to conquer not just the bathroom, which is quite natural, but also other spaces in hotel rooms. There aren't any super new items here. All the new products were, of course, showcased a couple of months ago in Bologna, so if you haven't seen those reports, do make sure to check them out. But there are some things that catch the eye, which I didn't mention there. For example, we talked about the new metal textures that have emerged, but alongside the metal textures, there are also actual metals, that is to say, tiles, with PVD coatings in various shades. By the way, we encountered this technology last year at the Interhotel exhibition, which took place in Barcelona. There were literally mirrored tiles there. And here, this technology has also become more noticeable to me than it perhaps was at the trade fair, and specifically, our friends at the company Monopoly are showcasing a new collection that doesn't even have a name yet, featuring these metallic PVD coatings. There are quite relevant textures and colors. Very interesting texture. Wood with fluting. This is also like 3 trends in one, both metal, fluting, and wood. Also, besides tiles, other finishing materials are presented here. These are wallpapers, paints, various wooden finishes, and certainly carpets. Also, let's say, the base material from which customized elements and furniture can be made for the same hotel rooms. That is, laminates, some polymer coatings, Phoenix, of course, well known, and which, due to its properties, is one of the best solutions specifically for hotel rooms, because it is easy to repair and doesn't stain easily. There are also some exotic solutions here in the form of some Corten decorative panels. It seems that no hotel project can do without fireplaces. We're not talking about rooms with fireplaces, although that wouldn't be bad. And, by the way, this solution is more often found in some public areas, like lobbies and bars. And that's really cool. I simply couldn't walk past the corner of Florence. The company Devon & Devon is here, just like at the Milan, primarily presenting their new collaboration with French designer. So, their presence here is absolutely logical. The maestro, after all, is on his home ground. Here, unlike in Milan, the collection is presented in a slightly different color palette, more traditional for Devon & Devon. It's a black and white palette, Accordingly, in the wash basin of the master version, it's in dark Port Lauron, and there's a single small version in white ceramic granite. Sinks are also present, and, of course, the bath. The first Devon and Devon bath with armrests, made from eco-friendly composite, is also here. Well, everything, as always, beautifully complements each other. I mean the various series, different collections of taps and sanitary ware. Everything fits perfectly in the home of Devon and Devon. And here we have Mini ISH, that is, an exhibition of the best, or at least some of the best, manufacturers of sanitary ware. Again, at least those who specialize in the project market. Here we have German companies, Italian ones, and Swiss. And by the way, the Swiss company presented quite an amusing installation. Together with the French designer, they came together and created a water flow that fills a foot bath. So it's also a sort of nod to history. How this relates to the VVD toilet is not entirely clear, but running water always attracts and soothes. By the way, regarding Italian manufacturers, the Stella stand is represented here. And this is not without reason, as the latest collection by Ennio, which was also showcased at the Milan Fair, was created by the French designer François Sultana. Overall, Stella has a very good relationship with French designers and projects. None have been implemented. By the way, the experience of collaborating with French designers is not a first either. The previous Sirius series was also created by a French designer specifically for a French hotel and only later made it into the regular range. As for plumbing for public spaces in general, there are some nuances here. They are primarily related to reliability, durability, and vandal resistance. And, by the way, there is also vandal-resistant plumbing here, which is used in public restrooms with higher foot traffic. The second story, and it probably came to us from hotels, is customization. Customization primarily involves shower spaces, finishes, washing areas, and mirrors. There is a separate company that focuses solely on mirrors. So this customization initially existed for hotels, but then everyone suddenly thought, why should individual solutions only be in hotels? Let's give everyone an individual solution. Like any good exhibition, EquipHotel also featured a trend zone here. At one of the entrances, Marie de Rudely, a French designer, has obviously created an installation called Suite Lobby. And there are 3 alcoves. In one of them is a bedroom, in another a bathroom, and in the third, something like a mini living room. Apparently, this is how she envisions the hospitality industry in the near future. Well, it's not a bad vision. A good hotel, obviously, cannot do without technology. Here we have the standard items that we encounter in almost every hotel room. That is, minibars, safes, and of course, coffee makers. There are more specific items, such as self-service terminals for restaurants, for example. Or there are similar terminals for self-check-in at hotels. There are already more specific solutions, IT solutions for room booking, managing the room inventory, and so on. As for the room inventory, by the way, there is a huge number of well-known hotel brands represented here. These are primarily management companies, meaning you can operate under one flag or another. Both international chains and some local ones are represented here. It's not particularly interesting, but nonetheless, what's good about all these hotel chains is that they have ready-made, well-developed brand books and design codes. It's a clear, proven solution to operate under a single flag with an already established player in the market. By the way, when it comes to unusual technology, hotels can't do without robots anymore. Cleaning robots, delivery robots, and informational robots have also become the norm in many hotels. Well, speaking of which, in Europe it might not have been that long ago, but in Japan and China, it's been a few years already. And, in general, it's already completely familiar. It seems to me that a great deal of attention at the exhibition has been given to terrace furniture and outdoor furniture, because, perhaps, first and foremost, hotel projects and hospitality projects have accustomed us to the idea that outdoor furniture should be decent, and we do spend more time outside. especially when we're relaxing. And here, there's a whole array of very famous manufacturers with a lot of good design on display. From the perspective of materials, absolutely everything that is currently available in the industry is being used. And the most important thing is that outdoor furniture now looks like residential furniture. In fact, it can be used in both settings. And in fact, we have talked many times about how indoor spaces flow outside and terraces connect with living spaces, but likewise, furniture can migrate from there to here and be used both outdoors and indoors. There is furniture made of wood, but these are primarily species that are not afraid of atmospheric effects naturally. There is metal furniture. As well, there are quite a few models like that. Plastic, and we also talk about this quite often on our channel. The most well-known manufacturers of plastic furniture regularly take center stage with us. There is a lot of cord and a lot of weaving, and recently, though this didn't happen overnight, ceramics are being used very actively, both in the form of thin porcelain stoneware, for example, for the tops of outdoor tables, as well as more handcrafted, glazed ceramics, which are also used for finishing tabletops. There are also individual items, like small stool tables, for instance. Of course, any outdoor lounge won't be a lounge unless there's furniture. Light is essential. What's interesting here is that there's a considerable number of standalone outdoor lights, meaning those that run on solar power. Not in all regions, of course it's relevant, but nonetheless, this isn't just about the small lights we discussed in the restaurant section. It also includes quite large fixtures and some outdoor floor lamps. In general, you can create a very interesting ambience, again, in various styles. These lights are also made from different materials. They can also adorn things like parasols, as parasols are an integral part of a good terrace. Here, there are both very simple, silly parasols and very serious, professional ones with weighted bases on wheels that can be moved around. They can also be equipped with lights, which is quite sensible if used for some cafes, and including heaters, if the temperature in the evening becomes less strong, perhaps even chilly and comfortable. There are also a lot of solutions here, and from the perspective of construction as well. This includes both central and side supports, which is probably more convenient for sunbathing than with a central support. With a central support, these are the classic umbrellas used in cafes. As for the color palette, there are no surprises here. It is the same color palette that was presented at the Milan. This includes various earthy tones, as I like to call them, some terracotta, some gray, muted colors, and a lot of shades of green, particularly complex greens like matcha tea, aloe, and sage. The same terracotta has evolved into some wine shades, burgundy tones, which are also presented here as accents. Similarly, lilac shades are presented as accents. This is something that I think will develop in the near future, although in real interiors, I don't see much potential for these colors. And to wrap up the topic of outdoor, it's also worth noting the quite large section dedicated to various outdoor structures. This primarily includes some lightweight pavilions, some canopies, including mobile canopies. These are some gazebos and these wonderful greenhouses. So, if you have a manor in some classical style, then it would probably be suitable. They can come in various sizes, with different finishes and so on. There are also some outdoor houses here, outdoor saunas in various designs. And my favorite is these wonderful round houses, which are really well made. These are the so-called prefabs. They are delivered in 2 parts and assembled right on the site. Whether it's glamping or your own country plot, it can all be done in about 2 days with ready-made utilities. It should be noted that unlike many of these modular houses, this prefab is very well made in terms of design, finishing materials, and equipment. As for the furniture for the hotel rooms, there are certainly specialized contract manufacturers present here. These are generally companies that do not deal with classic ranges or ready-made assortments for regular customers. It's all about personalized solutions for specific projects, both in terms of design and department. There are various styles, from modern to more classical. and even some more ornate, with suppliers of exotic and ethnic furniture still present. That's understandable, as this aesthetic immediately evokes a sort of resort atmosphere, so it can be in demand and appropriate in certain places. That is, just as a vintage aesthetic can be appropriate in some places, it's probably unlikely in hotels, although it can still be found in certain locations. Rather, these are some sort of beer bars, well, generally, some kind of male establishments. That could indeed work there too. This more traditional aesthetic of American lounges would certainly fit as well, and there are tons of chairs for cafes, restaurants, and other establishments. Absolutely different aesthetics. In most cases, it's quite primitive and not very appealing. But since we are in France, it's worth noting how much street furniture there is made of this plastic, like straws, which we encounter in almost every cafe, or rather, almost outside every cafe, that is, on the streets of Paris primarily, and of course, in other cities. There's no need to talk about the practicality of this plastic straw, just as there isn't about its aesthetics. Apart from the lovely memories of strolls through the streets of French cities, there's nothing else of value in it. And the final section of the exhibition is food service, which encompasses everything related to food preparation, serving, bar equipment, and so on. It's quite interesting here as well, and this is possibly the largest part of the exhibition. Kitchen equipment is showcased. Here, meaning equipment for professional kitchens. Here, we have dishwashing equipment. These are professional dishwashers, which are distinguished by their ability to wash dishes very, very quickly. There is also equipment for drying dishes. There's a very interesting machine for drying cutlery using rice. To be honest, I've never seen anything like that in real life. As for polishing glasses, this little machine is a must in any self-respecting restaurant, and even more so in a self-respecting wine bar. There's also a small gourmet corner here, featuring companies that produce various portioned treats, jams, and nuts. There are some teas, juices, and other various healthy things to pamper your guest. And there are many manufacturers of beautiful tableware that is used for serving in fine restaurants. This also includes table textiles, so to speak, napkins, tablecloths, and more. And various machines for packaging and food production. These are primarily ice cream machines, coffee makers, and machines for producing juices and their subsequent packaging. In general, there's a lot of interesting stuff. The level of the companies represented also varies a bit. There are small design studios with very interesting tableware. There are large manufacturers, quite mainstream, and there are the top brands, primarily French, but not exclusively, that offer both porcelain and glass. There are tableware in various designs, both classic and more modern. And there is also silverware, in the broadest sense, meaning items for serving, for buffet, banquets, and, by the way, there are separate solutions for breakfast stations, that is, buffet service for breakfast in hotels. Everything you need is also available. In my opinion, something like a water dispenser is still underrated, and I would recommend everyone to pay attention to this, primarily to representatives of the hospitality industry, in order to significantly reduce plastic waste, that is, not to serve water in rooms in plastic bottles, but to serve it in reusable glass bottles. They can be easily disinfected and filled with any water as desired, and a person can fill it themselves, and they can fill their own bottles. This thing is great for offices, especially for large office buildings. It's a wonderful solution. Also, serving water, filtered water, still or sparkling, in branded bottles at restaurants, I think, is very good etiquette. As for dispensers for expensive wine, it's a bit easier. Such things have already appeared in many places, and they are certainly represented here as well. And as for the exotic, or at least what I saw for the first time, it's the cocktail mixing machines. It certainly looks cool, and you can definitely avoid underpouring here, but you lose all the fun of interacting with the bartender in the bar, and there's no show with tossing bottles. So overall, it's quite a controversial idea. Just like on one hand, it seems practical, but from the perspective of fun, it's also a questionable story. These are mini ovens for pizza, or even machines for making pizza. And it turns out, friends, that this also exists. Well then, friends, I must say that I thoroughly enjoyed visiting this exhibition. I remind you, it's my first time here, and this is by far the best exhibition I've attended related to equipment and all topics connected to the hospitality industry. With a really good selection of exhibitors. There are no random people here. The arrangement of these exhibitors is quite logical, with a very sensible division by categories. Overall, I highly recommend it if you have the chance to attend this exhibition next year, especially if you're involved in hotel design or planning to open your own hotel. I hope that part of the answers to the big question of how to build a modern hotel can be found in my video. And if you know someone who could benefit from this information, please share this video. Don't forget to like it, write something nice, or ask a question. By the way, if you need advice on equipping a good hotel at various levels, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. That's all. Goodbye.